And this half hour brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory, all with great warranties. Great pre-owned inventory. With the Sunbury Motors guarantee, they go over every vehicle on the lot. Terrific service department, quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult. They handle it all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Time to bring in the great Neal Coolong. Sir, welcome back. Great to have you with us.
As always, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so the Colts come into Pittsburgh. They're on a roll, playing really well. Looked like a team that could just keep on rolling. Yet the Steelers' defense forces one takeaway after another, and they hold on and win. What did you see from Pittsburgh that we haven't been seeing?
I think it's... I don't think it's really much of a trick. I think they made plays on the ball. Whether it's batting at the line of scrimmage, I think Cam Hayward had two of them. Obviously, Peyton Wilson had one that Jack Sawyer was able to pick off. T.J. Watt with a Herculean play on a strip sack. They just simply made plays on the ball, and that shortened valuable possession for the Colts. I think it's one of those games where I think that the statistics really kind of get thrown off. You have that many turnovers. You can't look at anything substantially. The Colts offense really was defined by the fact they turned it over 5 times, 6 for the team. Overall, defensively, I don't think the Steelers necessarily did a whole lot of it wasn't a whole lot of variation in what they did. I think they made it very simple, and they in the meaningful competitive portions of the game, they didn't have to be on the field for an incredible amount of time. They were able to make plays within the structure that they were playing with. It wasn't a tricky blitz scheme. They didn't mix up a bunch of things. Coverage just seemed to be generally where it was supposed to be against a very efficient offense. I mean, the Colts, I don't care who they play, the numbers, the production they put up over 8 games is hugely impressive. And you saw at times why they've racked up the numbers that they have. It's just the Steelers would make one play on these drives and get the ball back and allow a team that's really built to succeed in the red zone to take advantage. And that's more or less what it was. And all of a sudden it was like, wow, this is a blowout. And it doesn't even really feel like much has happened. It was just one takeaway after another, and they just kept putting in the end zone and put the game, basically out of reach in the third quarter.
So I want to get to the team on the other side, and that is the Colts. Came in on a roll, lost the game, and now they make the big trade. I know, that Quentin Williams is going to the Cowboys. They're so far out of it doesn't matter. But the Sauce Gardner deal. They get Sauce Gardner from the Jets. They give up a first round in 26, a first round in 27 as well, plus one other player in this thing. And, I mean, he just signed a 4-year, $120 million extension in the offseason. What does this tell you about the mindset of the Colts as to where they think they are and how far they think they can get?
I think generally in the NFL, what you're looking at is the value of pick. And we've talked about this numerous times in this segment. It's logical, but people really need to remember that the 28th overall pick is worth a fraction of what the 11th overall pick is. And if you look at the two teams that are involved in this deal, you can see pretty clearly the pick is going to fall much closer to 28 than it will 11. We would not have anticipated that, I don't think, going into the season. But what the Colts are really saying is we belong in that elite group. We are one of the teams that are going to be drafting in the bottom 5th of the first round.
Right.
These picks, while they have value to us, they're going to be worth a lot more to the Jets than they will to us because we've already got our guys, and now we've picked up the elite cornerback, giving us a deep and young secondary. We feel good about this deal because what we are losing out in terms of assets are really two shots that, frankly, are not going to bring back Sauce Gardner. He's just statistically speaking, it's hard with any pick to find a cornerback who's been overall as good as Gardner has, game in and game out. Now, he's a two-time All-Pro player. He has bad games. That's the position in the NFL nowadays. Nobody's going to dominate that 17 games a season for 5 years. It just doesn't happen that way. But Gardner's been among the closest to that you could get. So it's also I think what the whole issue is really mitigated by the fact that Gardner's 24 years old. So you're getting a very young player. He's already got the contract. If you're good with the contract, in fact, that's usually what holds deals like this up. The team that's acquiring the player has to want every stipulation that's in the contract. These are things that we don't know about. Their medical staff hasn't signed off on it, so it tends to be an issue. But if the Colts are good with that, you're getting a marquee player at a premium position that's, in my opinion, very close to quarterback as far as the hardest to find, even though you will shoot the most shots at the board trying to find a quarterback. You rarely get one at the level that Gardner is at. So I think it makes sense for where Indianapolis is going. And the Jets, the reality is, as good as Gardner is, as you can see, a lockdown quarterback doesn't really help you a whole lot if you don't have a quarterback. So this gives them the ammo, really, to go up and get the guy that they want. If they don't finish number one overall in this upcoming draft, they're knocking on the door of that. It's not going to cost too much in terms of assets that they already have to go get the guy that they want. I think anybody can see that that's got to be their plan, especially in wake of 5 seconds before this interview started. Quinnen Williams is getting sent to Dallas. They're selling. They're getting rid of everybody. Who knows? They might not win a game again this season. They're going to be well positioned to add young talent to a team that's being led by a new coach and presumably a pretty shaken up front office this offseason. So I think the deal really does make sense for both teams. It's just you can't look at the value of first round picks in a vacuum, because the Colts this season are not drafting very, very high. They're not going to be anywhere close to where the Jets are. And the pick next year, that's the price of going out and getting an all-pro quarterback. So in my mind, it makes sense for the Jets. I get why they would do it. They had the money to spend. It's the right acquisition for a team that legitimately could make a run deep in January. I think they have that talent, despite they're coming off a buzzsaw game at Pittsburgh. That might bring them back down to earth a little bit, but that doesn't change the fact that they have a very good three-phase team, and they'll rebound from this loss. I think they'll be competitive all season.
I think they'll win the division, and I think the mindset of the Colts is we're going to go for it. I think they see that the AFC is relatively thin in many, many spots, and I think they can get there at this point. For the Jets, what's the use? Why carry Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner? Get some picks, start all over again. You're not going to be any worse than you are now.
Yeah, keep in mind, this is, I think most people would agree this is the worst team in football with those guys, and they're paying a bunch of money to both of those players. And it's not that they're not earning it. They're not the problem. It's just exactly as you put it. What's the point right now? They need to look ahead, and that's what they're going to be doing. So really, these moves for the Jets kind of put the rest of the team on blast. No one's spot is secure anymore. You're playing for your next contract now. The coaches are going to be here, so if you want to finish out your contract here, this is how we're going to do things. Who knows? I mean, the trade deadline isn't for another 2 hours. They've still got guys under contract. There are moves they can still make. It wouldn't surprise me if they really just want to shed salary this year, try to accumulate picks that they could trade for somebody else of value, perhaps this offseason that they want to bring in. But stay cash flexible and maintain a strong allotment of picks as you're evaluating prospects that are out there. See if you can't get, kind of go the Houston Texans route, grab two elite level players in the top, 5, 7, 10 picks. It wouldn't be a bad idea for a team that really doesn't have anything else. Certainly not now.
So what about what the Cowboys did? Logan Wilson, Quinnen Williams. They're 3-5-1. They didn't think Micah Parsons was worth keeping. What do you think they're doing? I mean, I realize right now, I'm not making a joke when I say this. We know right now a major concentration for Jerry Jones is liquid natural gas, which is his primary business. The Cowboys are a $14 billion side business. The unfortunate part is the side business is the one where he's the general manager of it. What's your thought on what they are doing right now?
The side business is run by Jerry's ego, and that's where you get into problems. I think you have to look at this incrementally. If we jump right to the end of the Cowboys story in 2025, you're not going to understand the full context of everything. Going into it, I think he felt extremely confident that he had a deal with Micah Parsons. He did not expect there to be an issue getting him signed, but he probably needed to save a few dollars. Because keep in mind, when you sign a player to guaranteed money, usually in the form of a signing bonus, you've got to save 80% of that value to keep in escrow until you're able to pay that out in whatever increments that you've agreed to. That's a lot of cash, and you still have cash that you have reserved from Dak's contract, from CeeDee Lamb's contract. Yep. There are other guys that they want to sign. Parsons' contract, what he was asking, and I'm probably the only person that's defending Jerry Jones when it comes to this. Mm-hmm. If Parsons, who did have leverage after he got traded with the Packers, to be fair, maybe that tacks on a few million more, but if let's just say, for fairness, if Parsons was not going to suit up until he got the contract the Packers gave him, mm-hmm. You have to consider that at least reasonably prohibitive for the Cowboys to do that deal. Right. And to go acquire other assets to bring in to help your team, that's not exactly unheard of in a lot of ways. It just happens to be the Cowboys. If you look at it in a vacuum, if it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I don't think people are really freaking out over it, but it's the Cowboys. So you're going to needle that a bit more. On top of it, Jerry Jones never said he wasn't going to pay Micah Parsons.
Right.
He wanted to sign Micah Parsons.
Right.
So in that sense, he's got some money built up for that. They squirreled it away. They've been saving for it. Williams takes care of that. Logan Wilson, I don't think really cost a significant amount that they need to worry about. No. Williams is an expensive player, so he's also a guy that's a foundational level player. He's good, high level guy that they probably need. So to be honest, I could see, if you want to put it all together, I could see an argument in which they, three-way trade, they essentially got Quentin Williams, lost Micah Parsons, spent less on Williams, and got a net of probably one draft pick out of all of this, mm-hmm. and probably wasted 8 games of the season due to the detour they had to take because they honestly expected to be able to sign Parsons. So there's a lot that goes into that. The issue, though, and this is what buoys all of it, as usual, not to make a pun, but it's Jerry Jones's natural gas that boosts the whole thing up to a point where this really looks like a complete and total PR disaster more than anything else. Sure. And that's not uncommon with Jerry Jones. He's a salesman who thinks he is far more of a circus caller than he really is. I don't think he quite understands that most people, every time he talks, are laughing at him more than anything else right now. There was a time in which he felt that he had the world's ear. He wants to stir things up. He wants to draw this attention in whatever way that it is. But that's usually what the person that does stuff that people make fun of him for says. Well, I'm just doing it to make you laugh. It's not good laughter going at Jerry Jones right now. I do think, though, this deal helps level set where they were. Really, just the overall problem here is that he overconfidently thought they were going to be able to sign Parsons. But Williams is a very good player, one that their mm-hmm. defense desperately needs at this point if they're going to pull anything off this year.
I know we've talked about a couple of deals so far, but Neal, is there any deal, even one we haven't talked about, where you sat back and went, okay. The team that made that deal got a lot better. Who would be in that category?
I don't think there is anybody at that level, although I will say this is a more star-riddled trade deadline than we're used to. I think that you've got names out there, but Jacoby Harris is not a player that's really, changing defensive game plans or anything like that. Solid player, Myers. Sorry, I don't know why I said Harris. He's a reasonable player. I honestly think that there were probably a lot of teams in the market for a fourth-round pick for him. Jacksonville steps up and adds a sixth to that, probably because they have it and they have a need. More of their ability to add in that pick rather than their over desire to get him. That's what his market ended up creating. I would say this: the Steelers were a team that's probably in that market for a fourth-round pick. I don't think there's any way in the world they really wanted to give up 2 picks for Myers, but if somebody else was going to do that, that's obviously where the Saints are going to go, or the Raiders are going to go. I'm on fire here.
Yeah.
It's a solid deal, but does that make Jacksonville a Super Bowl contender? Probably not. It's not that big of a deal. It's a good deal for them for what they need, for what they're looking to build. He's a solid core player. He's a guy that you can get the ball to 6-7 times a game and get good production from. I don't think it fundamentally changes where they're going. If anything, right now, I would say the biggest impact in terms of the delta of improvement, as in where were you before the trade versus where are you after the trade, it's probably Quinnen Williams. Mostly because I think Dallas is that bad. I think he improves them more than anybody else, but Sauce Gardner certainly will make an impact with the Colts within an AFC that can throw the ball pretty well, and come playoff time would be able to throw the ball very well. He will support the run as well. That's something Lou Anarumo will stress. But to put all of that together in Indianapolis for what they're trying to build there, it definitely is the boldest statement.
Yes.
Though I think Sauce Gardner improves an already good defense a bit, but I think the significant improvement so far with what 90 minutes ago or whatever it is probably goes to Dallas at this point. But if we then factor in the loss of Micah Parsons, does it wash it out? I don't know. But again, that's Jerry, and maybe that'll be on next year's Netflix documentary.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that very much. The Steelers have a home game against the Chargers in Los Angeles. Hey, the Chargers don't have any fans. You and I both know that. What do you think about defending Justin Herbert?
It's tough. It's a really hard thing to do, and this is a team. The Steelers have had breaks beaten off in Los Angeles before by Herbert and crew on a Sunday night game. Primetime road games traveling that far, it's tough. This is one that I circled at the beginning of the year as a loss, just simply out of logistics. Right. You hope that you don't have to face the Chargers in the playoffs on the road. It's a solid team. They're kind of up and down, but Justin Herbert can, in my opinion, purest arm talent in the NFL right now. I think he's a guy that can make more big-time throws than anybody else can. Sometimes his judgment is a little bit off, and he might trust that arm talent a little too much. But if he is locked in and they have a game plan to do the things that they can do, which I think Indianapolis did, if they could have gotten a car out of the garage, you saw them going after Joey Porter almost exclusively immediately, and they're having results. It took them 3 targets to draw a penalty. I would expect Los Angeles to do much of the same, but probably with a better quarterback and better receivers. So it's a difficult matchup for Pittsburgh, but a team that I think simplified things defensively, coming off a game in which they had a lot of momentum. If they can get over the travel fatigue, which affects everybody, that's a tough road game to play when you go coast to coast like that. It's a difficult matchup for the Steelers anyway, and Herbert probably makes that 5 times more difficult, just because you got to defend every blade of grass against that guy. He can throw the ball anywhere on the field, from anywhere on the field, and with little or no room to do it. His arm is that strong. He has that much natural accuracy. A very difficult team to defend top to bottom, but their protection probably isn't going to be as strong. Joe Alt, I think, is as good as any tackle in the game. He went down again. They're going to put him on the shelf this time. You're already out, Rashawn Slater. So they got to protect quite a bit, and I think that's what the Steelers are going to say. We're going to race Justin Herbert in the pocket. You know, we're going to close in on you. We're going to hit you. Can you keep getting up and making throws down the field? You're going to have to if you're going to beat us. That would probably be my game plan. You've got to get after him every chance that you get. You got to sell out. You got to blitz. And you're going to need Joey Porter to keep hands off and try to make a play on the ball every now and again.
I caught that. All right. As always, my friend, nothing like a trade deadline with you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Neal Coolong. Half hour brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.